So overall, Failure Frame is doing exactly what I was hoping it would do with the 3D, which, if you watched the first couple of videos I did on this show, I quite enjoyed how the 3D monsters look. It's always been an issue with how they would, every other frame, cut to a general dialogue scene, and for no apparent reason the characters were in 3D models. This episode had its fair amount of 3D, but I had really no issues with it. Certain monsters looked more obvious than others, but the idea of going up against such monstrosities that are such abominations, and the way they animated them, this is exactly what I wanted to see from this show. And like I keep saying, it's baffling how a show got better visually in the second half than it was in the first half. That really never happens. Of course, I have full live reactions over on Patron. If you want to see my full and good thought to any of these Failure Frame episodes, you know it's over there exclusively. So we basically get one big adventure in the woods, where our newfound party members, we got our Central 2, even Liz have also, joined up, and honestly, man, this was fun. So, more or less, Toka's the reason they clear this pretty easily, though unfortunately at the very end, I don't even think our boy can take care of what's about to attack them. Granted, if they do something similar to what he did in the first episode, which is pretty much sit on a pile of bodies and just slowly but surely take them out one by one, but the issue there is that there's clearly enemies in the sky, which means he can't just cut off ground level. They're gonna get got, so I don't know what they're gonna do. They can try to run and hide, maybe barricade themselves in, that could potentially work, I don't know. But basically, we are going through the forest, and we have our new party, and the idea that they do a good thing with this episode, which is continue to show why Toka is an interesting MC, while also just having a lot of fun with cutting through abominations that would normally one-shot most adventurers. So, like I say, if you follow this channel long enough, you can have cool looking action, you can have the best Sakuga known to man, but if you don't care about the emotional, then it's not really going to be important. And they've actually done a good job. A decent job. Not an amazing job, a flawless job, but a good enough job to make Toka an MC one that you think is more than some edgelord who just wants to go cut a bitch. The idea of having this little girl who reminds him of a lot of his own characteristics is a very interesting point that you rarely see in these shows, because usually when you have the edgelord MCs who are going around killing and not really caring that they're killing, they have their potential love interests who they usually treat like shit, but they decide to put a smile on their face because, daddy issues. And ultimately, what ends up happening is you don't really feel like the MC's deserving any of the happiness or good things that come his way over the course of said revenge story. Where with here, we know he was abused as a child and he knows what it's like to be left behind, and why it's important that when said child decides to start standing on their own 2 feet, that you have to let them make their own mistakes, trip and fall, but feel like they can get up on their own. Of course, Piggymaru helps her cross that riverbed a bit, but you understand, and you just see such a different level to a character, which makes him not feel like your generic edgelord, which he easily could have become after the first couple of episodes. So having all that, when we do throw these characters into action, while I didn't think anything in this episode was going to kill them, it does make the action sequences feel better because you actually legitimately care about the characters. At least that's how I'm feeling. And I think the best way to put the overall designs of these beasts, because there was some monstrous designs. These things were gross. Anyone who's ever played around with Pokemon generators, you can randomly select Pokemon to be blended with other Pokemon and it turns out usually a pretty weird looking design. It's like if you did that with monsters. Because it had there's one that has 1,000 eyes mixed with a slug mixed with, is that human arms? Your guess is as good as mine. I frankly have no idea. Of course, our boy pretty much cuts through everything. He paralyzes it and adds a couple of berserks and he calls it a day, as he's casually yeah, I'm gonna level up my slime pal here. It's fun. It's mindless fun in certain ways and just kind of cutting through a forest. But like I said, that's why this show feels more than just kind of mindless fun, because you do have that emotional connection about everything that's going on. I did really like what they did at the end, because I don't know what the hell that vagina lip looking face thing was, but Toka was like, don't do it, and then Eve ends up slicing it. One shot KO, very quick. I thought it was going to be a situation where it's actually a human turned monster and maybe he realized something was off. Nope, it's basically one of those situations where you have an enemy that probably had 2 health points, but as soon as you kill that thing, it lets out this screech, signal flare, and the whole forest comes alive, and I don't know what they do. I really don't. Because our boy has ridiculous mana, but he can't go forever. And he also has a limit cap of how many he can apply different spells to at once. So, it ain't looking good. We do got some fighters, though we do also have a little kid we have to protect, so it's like, it could get spicy. Something that was unexpected, though, forgot they even had this, because at the start, I think it was just before they played the opening song, something was glowing in his backpack. I was like, I don't know what the hell that is. Forgot about the egg. Egg hatches, and we get a pony. The pony is weird. It's weird in both a good and bad way. I kind of just accept it, but that pony be weird as hell. So, very large head. Just, like, it's kind of cute, kind of weird in its normal form. Pours some mana in, it gets into a bigger form. 3D kind of black horse, kind of looks like a horse of the apocalypse. Pretty cool. And I don't know what the whatever his final form was, that thing was too much for me. I was like, okay, there's creative designs, and then there's pushing designs too far. The ram head horse beast of Satan's laboratory was a little too much for me. Thankfully, the thing can shrink down to healthy size, but then it does raise the question. If a pony can jump into Clifford the Big Red Dog size, or go back down to Little Pony size, does it have the appetite of a little pony or a big pony? It's the questions I think of when I see that. So, the 3D's in this episode, right? There's a lot of it. But when you see Toka or another character like Eve at one point was 3D as well with these monsters, that feels acceptable because you're in this scene that you understand why it's 3D and the 3D movements work with each other. But when you have random characters standing around talking in 3D and there's literally just a hand-drawn room, that's why people get annoyed. And there's still going to be people annoyed with the amount of 3D in this episode. There was in the first couple of episodes, and I absolutely just complimented the 3D at the time. But here's the thing, I like how they're handling it right here. I think they're doing it well. And for the number of unique, big-ass designs that they're fighting, I totally expect it can and should be 3D, given that when they actually are swinging swords or doing motions in 3D, it looks good and smooth, at least for me. And they're in the appropriate setting for it too. They're in a dark forest half the time. It just kind of all blends together. And I made the comparison before, but this does have a So I'm a Spider, So What style feel to it in terms of having all the other characters be one perspective and then our MC be his own. Just instead of having our MC be a spider that doesn't know what the hell's going on, we have a boy who got tossed away thinking that he would die, only to be a million times stronger than any other character as it stands. Let me know what you're thinking of this episode, though, down below. What are you feeling, and how do you think they're getting out of this one? Because definitely a sticky predicament. Let me know your feelings down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring the bell. And hey, like I mentioned, we have those full live reactions of Failure Frame over on my Patreon. And while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout-out. Alright, so today we got Oris Lopez, Project 7, Emma K-Pop, Sandra Nuns, 0451 Jim, Mobita, Feather, The Lyrical G, and we also have Andrew Stevens. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.